Hi guys. We're going to do something a little bit different today. I was looking the other day through various old CDs and things, and I came across a CD backup of work that I did while I was at New Horizon Interactive. This is early days, 2005, 2006. And I happened across a file called penguinanim17.t3d. If you're unfamiliar with T3D, that is a file format that is opened by Swift 3D, of which I happen to have a copy. And Swift 3D was the program that we used to make the original penguin that walks around in the Club Penguin world, that wears all the clothing items and things. So I thought, hey, let's just take a look at the program itself, the capabilities and limitations of it, and then maybe go through the penguin itself, Penguin NM17, and see what kind of things we can find, what kind of clothing items that we see in there, and maybe even some stuff that was never actually released onto Club Penguin. Here we go.
All right, let's dive right into this. This is the interface for Swift 3D. I have two viewports open right now. We have a perspective camera and we have a top view camera. If I make a primitive object, so let's say a cylinder, it appears in 3D. I can then rotate it around. This is the system for rotating. They came up with a lot of custom solutions for this. I know you want to see the penguin in action, but before we do that, we're just going to look at what Swift 3D could and couldn't do. So we have here, I don't even remember how to zoom. Oh, there we go. Zooming out, zooming in. All right, so we're going to put that cylinder in there, and then let's put in a torus, I guess. And you can barely see it, so we're going to make it, say, 3 times the size that it was. And we're going to rotate it by 90 degrees. There we go. We have ourselves a torus and a cylinder. Now, if I wanted to, say, edit this torus, I would go into the advanced modeler, and you cannot see me make air quotes, but I am making air quotes in the advanced modeler. If any of you are familiar with 3D graphics or have worked in 3D graphics, you may notice that it's not built out of quads, 4-sided polygons. It's built out of tris, 3-sided polygons. And there is absolutely no choice in the matter about that. This program could not support 4-sided polygons, which stunk. Again, you can choose texture smooth shaded, flat shaded, which is even better there. We'll stick with smooth shaded. If I wanted to change this torus in some way, we would say select some points on it. All right. And then go to our translate tool. Translate tool. I think I'm in my translate tool. Oh, just grab it. Grab it. Okay, there we go. We have points in it, and we can edit them that way. We can even use soft selection if we want. So we could choose some parts like this, but the soft selection system was not a straight circle. It just was a nearest neighbor thing. So it would choose that and vertices that were 2 or 3 or 4 away, which means that your soft selection is now making a sort of odd oblong shape, oval shape, rather than just a circle like every other program does. But yes, let's say we wanted that so that we have a little bump on here. Maybe we're making some sort of hat, some sort of ringed hat to go on somebody's head. We could do that. If I unhide this sphere that I made earlier, just to kind of demonstrate things, we have a object that has multiple colors on it. And the nice thing about that is that I could then render this object and it would have the colors for it. So you may be wondering why we use Swift 3D in the first place if it was so difficult to use, and the reason was because of the renderer. I could generate selected frames, and this is now purely flat shaded, flat rendered, and the advantage is I could export this, put it into Flash, and immediately see my results in Flash as vectors, not as bitmaps, not as like pixels, but as Flash vectors. That was the only thing that Swift had going for it. This was the cheapest option for us at the time, to just buy Swift 3D outright. The other option was to buy 3D Studio Max, get the Swift plugin, make all our objects in 3D Studio Max, and then render it to vector from there. But that was deemed at the time too expensive, and we figured, well, at most, I'm sure these penguins are only going to have, say, 50 to 100 clothing items. It wouldn't matter. Obviously, we were wrong. So let's just go to the penguin right now. We're going to open that up because that is... All right, here we go. The penguin. This is the original 3D penguin that we used to render all of the clothing items from 2005 to 2010. When 2010 hit, we finally decided to bite the bullet, convert this guy into something for 3D Studio Max, that more expensive solution I talked about, just because we were tired of working in here. This was one of the last things I did before moving over, or before leaving Disney Online Studios. But for 5 years, this was the clothing item creation system. So let's look at the penguin. The penguin had different frames on it. First frame was standing, second frame was sitting. We had the walking frames. We had the waving frames. We had the special dance, or at least the unique part of the special dance. Most of the dance was made out of other frames because we didn't want to render too many things. And then the snowball throw. This is the snowball throw from a front view, which you would never see in the game because we, for file size reasons, kept the snowball throw to 4 directions only. But there's that. And yeah, we also have this camera on the side here, so you could see the flat shaded version of it if you wanted. We could also see a wireframe version. So here's the penguin in all its glory. So yeah, the real reason that I wanted to get in here was to show the clothing items that were created, because some of these clothing items were made and never used. And I've only looked at some of them, so I might even find some things in here I haven't seen for years. Actually, before we do that, let's have fun. So this is what the penguin would look like without a nose. Let's make this the active camera. Here we go. That's fun. Might as well say the parent object for all this was this COG object. This is kind of standard, at least it was at the time, center of gravity. So if we wanted to render the penguin in other directions, we would alter this. And now we would actually have the view of the snowball throw that you're a bit more familiar with. We have the special dance from this point of view. Sure, why not? Waving, standing, sitting, walking. I'm really actually quite enjoying the rendered without a nose version. We never would have been able to do it in the game, but that's kind of fun. Okay. Hiding it, turned on, or unhiding it, turned on the superhero mask. So this is actually a issue with the program as well. You can't hide and unhide individual objects. If you hide and unhide the parent, all the individual objects underneath would just appear. So that was obviously a problem. Let's turn off the superhero mask. All right. So, actually, let me show you how the render worked with this guy. Let's render it without a nose again, just to show you. So we're going to render the first 12 frames. Generate selected frames. All right. So this is the version that's more familiar to what you would actually see in the game. You would have this penguin walking along. Although I don't have shadows turned on. And honestly, I'm not sure if I remember how to do that. Fill options, include shadows. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that with these guys here. Some more frames of it here. Yeah, okay. So we'll turn shadows on and render some more frames. Oh, wait, where are you? There we go. Okay, it is rendering. So yeah, these are the toon shadows. When we would bring this file into Club Penguin, the shadows would be on a different layer from the flat object underneath, which was very helpful for clothing item creation. We would also usually manually remove the shadows in front of the eyes because that just looked creepy. But when rendering, we didn't really have that option, so they stayed. So yeah, we're rendering from that point of view without a nose, so I'm sure this has never before been seen by most people, so that's kind of fun. And once this render is done, I can then choose to play the animation as we have it. So let's do that. It's frame 34, frame 35. Okay, that was the whole thing. All right, now we're just going to play it. Yeah, so the frames that I chose also have a few frames from the start of the dance. But yeah, I could do that to look and see how does the animation look before we actually do the export into Flash. All right, enough of that. Let's go and rotate the center of gravity back to 0 degrees. Let's turn on the nose. Let's turn off the superhero mask. This program. Okay. So there were parts to it. There's arm, and in arm, let's just turn on the t-shirt arm. Now let's do the same thing with the other one. So the object was made out of parts. Red t-shirt body. Let's turn that on. Okay, so here we go. We have the 3D of the red t-shirt. So to show what that does, let's do this again. We'll generate selected frames. Now, usually, for the clothing items themselves, we would not keep the shadows on, but we're rendering them with the shadows this time. And after this render was done and we brought it into Flash, what we would do is we would manually delete all of the parts that were not part of the shirt. So we would delete this arm, the head, the beak, the eyes, the base of the belly, the feet. And what was left was just a vector shirt with a penguin-shaped hole cut out of it. And that way, we would be able to have a shirt that could then be layered back onto the penguin if somebody put their shirt on. All right, so let's turn that one off. Let's turn... okay, we have parts from the Hawaiian shirt. What was Hawaiian shirt? I think that was just a slightly different color. You might notice this says Paddington here. That's because that was the name that we had for this long coat kind of thing from early on. I don't remember the proper name of that thing, but it was this guy. Kind of a trench coat's the wrong name, but anyway, it was inspired by Paddington Bear. So there we go. I'm going to turn that off again. Oh, that's the bottom half. Oh, right, the arms version of, yeah, the lower arm version of it, but we don't need that on. Okay, so let's see what other things we have. We have the sunglasses. Very nice. We have the hard hat. Oh, right, I have to turn everything off. Okay, the hard hat from different angles here. Let's make you... This was based on an actual hard hat that was given to us, or given to New Horizon Productions by one of the companies that we were working for at the time, and so we just kind of, I used that as a model, and then I got to keep it afterwards, so it's somewhere in a garage. Let's turn that off. We have the sombrero, which was always one of my favorite objects. For whatever reason, from this point of view, it seems to be rendering the inside of the faces instead of the outside. Not sure why, but it works in the regular target camera, so we didn't worry about it. I suppose we could turn his eyes off. That's also kind of fun. Yeah, there we go. Very nice. All right, let's turn on the eye. You might be noticing that the arms, I guess before I go too far, there's no bones in this. If you are familiar with 3D objects and how they're created, arms there's usually a bone system for animation. And you could just rotate the bones and things would rotate with it. In this system, in this program, you had to actually just rotate the objects outright based on pivot position. So there was no skinning of objects. That was never available. Okay, we have the headphones. Yep, big old headphones. All right, here's the first of the objects that were never seen, the hair bow. Oh, this monstrosity. So this came from an idea that I'd had at the time based on just, okay, you know how there's Pac-Man and then Ms. Pac-Man? I was thinking, okay, what's something that a girl might wear? You have Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse, and they're differentiated because she wears a bow, and Pac-Man, that's kind of the same thing. So I tried the hair bow thing on these penguins because I figured, well, both of those other characters are kind of bald and have no hair, but they can still wear hair bows. Maybe it looks okay on a penguin. It did not. We never released this because it looked horrible. Absolutely. Let me render it. Why not? Oh, advanced modeler. Sure. That's all right. Let's just turn off shadows. We don't need shadows. All right. So this is what could have been. Ugh. No. All right. What's next? We'll hide the hair bow. Crown. What do we got here? Yeah, that's looking nice. Yeah, we did actually make that as an object. I think we made some more elaborate crowns later, but that was the first crown. Bowler hat, which was also used later as a flower hat. Add a flower on top, change the color. So if we turn the flower off, now it's just a bowler. I think Antarctic, yeah, she wore a toque. Never mind. Mustache. Yeah, that was never released. Partly because it looked weird on the penguin, but also just because it was so small. This was smaller than the bow tie, and you could barely see the bow tie. So we never went with that. Didn't do the facial hair thing on penguins for quite a while. The beanie. This, I believe, was eventually adapted into the propeller cap, but yeah. Snorkel, and just for those who remember it on original Club Penguin, where you had the snorkel sombrero guy. There you go, snorkel sombrero guy. The bow tie. Oh, bow tie was a beveled object, right? So you could make an object in this program by simply making a shape and then giving it depth and a bevel. So that's what we did with the bow tie because that was the simplest way to do it. Turn it on. Yeah, there we go. You'll notice too how low it looks on the penguin. That's just because of the point of view you're using. We're quite, these penguins are actually legitimately quite tall originally. It's just that from the top point of view, because you felt like you were looking down on them, that was the size. And then that squat size ended up being what the penguins actually seemed like to everybody. So there was some weird perspective trickery things that had to go on there. We have the grass skirt. I believe that was something released around the time of the Hawaiian party. Night vision goggles, which were added to just because they were cool and because we knew we were going to be doing Secret Agents soon. the 3D glasses, which are probably the most appropriate items for this video. I'm probably going to use that in the screenshot. The ever popular Viking helmet, which was then there were many colors of Viking helmets, but we only needed to render one of them because when we did a recolor in Club Penguin, we just changed the flash file. We duplicated it, we copied or find and replace color, and changed, say, the red to blue for the 3D version. We didn't have to be as detailed with the 3D version. Hawaiian shirt. Wow, Hawaiian shirt is just blue. That is really disappointing. I was probably going to end up turning it into a flowered shirt at some point and never did. Oh well. Cowboy hat. There was a little bit of extra color added there that you could barely see in the final product, but Paddington hat. Oh, okay. So this is... there we go. I haven't seen that one in a while. This was my original idea for what the free item would be at April Fool's Day for 2006, and we didn't go with that. We thought that would be just a little bit too violent, but you've seen that before, right? This headband thing. Yeah, I kind of miss this one. That would have been fun, but oh well. Ball cap. I believe that's basically just the beanie, but slightly larger. The cape, which was originally made in red. Oh man, everything's looking inside out. That's weird. Fun fact about the red cape, shortly after we released it, the Mini Clip forums, which was our biggest fan base at the time, they put up this petition saying, we want a blue one, we want a blue one, we want a blue one. And so we added that as a hidden item a couple months later, and they were just shocked that we actually listened to their suggestions. And so we got tons more suggestions after that point once they realized something we ask might actually come into the game. And of course we couldn't do everything, but it was fun being able to make their wildest dreams come true. Tiara, a smaller crown. Like that one. The princess dress. There we go. That one, yeah, it's just spheres for the shoulders because it didn't have to be anything but spheres. Oh, I should probably oh yeah, okay. So long items. Let's talk about this. When you have a long item and then you have an animation like this, well, like I said, there aren't any bones. There's no skinning this. It's just an object. So for sitting, a lot of these items, we ended up having to make artistic changes in Flash after the fact just to make this work. So we would go in and paint in what the dress should actually look like. So for these sitting frames, we had to paint the bottom of the dress. For walking, I think the penguin would actually kind of put its feet through the dress a bit, so we had to fix that after the fact. Waving was a big problem because you have stuff like this, compounded by the fact that the penguin's shoulder was not at the proper location for where it should have been. If I had had the chance later, I would have fixed that a bit because yeah, we had any clothing item where the shoulders were covered, we usually ended up having to do some fixes. The poncho was a nightmare. But yeah, we ended up having to do a lot of drawing of clothing items. Oh, this took so long. Oh, I'm having shuddered flashbacks from this. But yeah, princess dress, I think that was reused a few times for a bunch of other clothing items. The tutu, which, there. I don't think this one got released. I think the issue was that the princess dress was a full body thing, but the moment you put a tutu on, suddenly it makes it look a lot more obvious that these are just naked penguins. So usually we wouldn't just release the bottom half of a clothing item because penguins have no legs. It really didn't make sense. So yeah, tutu did not happen. But it was probably reused later as part of a different clothing item. The party hat. It's named party hat in here. You, of course, know it as the beta hat. And just for sake of completion, I'll tell the often repeated story that I chose the colors purple and yellow because I thought they were obnoxious and that would make people not really care if they missed getting the beta hat. And I was very wrong about that because it became the most often requested item in Club Penguin. So, yeah. That ended up getting recolored many, many times every time we had a new Club Penguin anniversary. So there it is in all its glory. The scarf, which is yellow here, but was recolored later, or re-rendered to be the red and green Christmas scarf at some point. Turn off scarf. We have the guitar. Nice acoustic guitar right there, which was another extruded object. We have the Santa hat. Not much to say there. It looks pretty accurate. Oh, I should mention that in the early days, I would usually make the 3D object first and then make the 2D illustration of it, which is the opposite of what I should have been doing, but in the original few months of making Club Penguin, I wasn't sure what I could actually make in 3D and make look good. So that was the deal there. We'll turn off Santa hat. Let's see. Now I believe I thought the ninja outfit was in here, but I guess it's not. At some point I did make a ninja outfit. But yeah, that is the entirety of the what the penguin looks like in 3D. Now, I've been saving this to last. Do you remember what I said about the nose, where you hide it and then you show it again, which we can do the same thing with the tummy. So there's that, which is basically what we were planning on doing with the ninja, just taking away its tummy. But we didn't end up doing that. We recolored the tummy so that the ninja would look good. If you hide the body accidentally, you might as well just go back to your original save file, because when you unhide it, you are wearing everything at once. Every single clothing item that I'd made. And this is nothing compared to when we had far more clothing items in later versions of this file. It was going through all of these like, okay, hide the sombrero, hide the hard hat, hide the red shirt. Yeah, you didn't want to do this. This was a pain in the butt. Sure, why not? Let's render this monstrosity. I'm sure this will turn into somebody's avatar at some point. That's fine. Oh, hey, there's the hockey stick. That was in the hand item there. I did not show that one, so I forgot about the hockey stick. But yeah, there you go. Fun times with the penguin. I think I'm going to end it there, but thank you for watching and taking this trip down many memories with me. Yeah, it was fun making these clothing items and thinking how naive I was thinking that this was over half of what would ever be created, because that's certainly not what ended up happening. But yeah, see you guys. Waddle on.